Did you know that India recently achieved its target of 10% ethanol blending in petrol, saving over 41,000 crore rupee in oil imports and cutting down millions of tons of carbon emissions? Welcome to Mayaverse. Today we're going to break down everything about ethanol blending. So, what is ethanol? Ethanol is basically a type of alcohol. Now, before you get excited, no, you can't drink it. This one is only for vehicles. Let's understand how it works. Ethanol blending is done in 5 simple steps. First step, raw materials. We start with crops like sugarcane, corn, or even agricultural waste. These are rich in sugars or starch. Next step is fermentation, where yeast, a type of fungus, eats up the sugars and then, it burps out ethanol and carbon dioxide. So basically, yeast is nature's way of turning sugar into alcohol. But this liquid only contains 10% ethanol and 90% water. So we heat it up, a process called distillation. Since ethanol boils earlier than water, we can separate it out. This gives us about 95% pure ethanol. But we still cannot blend it with petrol. We need it almost 100%. Hence, next step is purification, where we remove the last bit of water using molecular sieves. Think of it like a tiny sponge with microscopic pores that trap water molecules but let ethanol pass. Finally, blending is done, where this purified ethanol is mixed with petrol in different ratios, like E10, E20, or even E85. Here, E10 simply means 10% ethanol, 90% petrol. Now let's get a bit into the science. Petrol is mostly hydrocarbons like octane. When petrol burns, it doesn't burn completely. It often produces not just carbon dioxide and water, but also carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, and other nasty pollutants. Ethanol, on the other hand, has oxygen in its structure. That extra oxygen helps it burn more completely, producing mainly carbon dioxide and water with far fewer harmful leftovers. That's why ethanol is considered a cleaner fuel than pure petrol. So can we say ethanol-blended petrol is green? The answer is no. Ethanol-blended petrol is greener than normal petrol, but it still emits carbon dioxide. So why is India so serious about ethanol blending? First, India imports over 85% of its crude oil. By blending ethanol, it can reduce oil bill. Second, it helps farmers. Sugarcane and maize growers get new income opportunities. And third, the environment wins. Every 10% ethanol blend reduces carbon monoxide emissions by up to 30%. Ethanol blending sounds like the perfect solution, but remember, every coin has 2 sides. Cars running on ethanol-blended fuel can sometimes give lower mileage, around 5%, so you might end up at the pump more often. Engines may need modifications for higher blends, which adds to the cost. And if too much farmland goes into growing fuel crops, food prices could rise. So let's talk money, because at the end of the day, that's what hits us the most. Globally, ethanol-blended petrol isn't always cheaper than normal petrol. In fact, in some countries, it actually costs more. Let's take a quick look. In India, normal petrol is around 96 rupees to 100 yet per liter, while E10 is almost the same. Sometimes it costs even more to procure than crude oil. In Brazil, the story is different. They've been blending ethanol for decades, and E27 fuel, that's 27% ethanol, is usually cheaper than regular petrol, thanks to their massive sugarcane production. If you look at the United States, where E10 is the standard fuel at pumps, prices are usually on par with or slightly cheaper than normal petrol. But the real push there comes from government subsidies to farmers growing corn. Now, what about the future? By 2025, India aims for E20 nationwide. Flex fuel cars, vehicles that can run on petrol or ethanol in any ratio, are already being tested. So next time you fuel your car, look for the E10 or E20 sign. You'll know you're contributing to a cleaner, greener journey. But here's a thought. Would you sacrifice a little car mileage if it meant a healthier planet? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please subscribe to Mayaverse for more amazing content.